This video is sponsored by you. McDonald's. The house that Ronald built. For decades, the restaurant once stood proudly within the holy trinity of childhood culinary experiences. From the mascots, to the Playplaces, to the GameCube kiosks that some still argue never existed, McDonald's was always fondly remembered as a place where a kid could be a kid. Or is that Chuck E. Cheese? Oh, shit. Okay, it's Chuck E. Cheese. Bad start. But you know what I mean. For the vast majority of the restaurant's history, McDonald's has postured itself to cater especially to children. But over the past 20 years, that aspect of their business has been slowly and methodically phased out. Now, this didn't happen overnight. In fact, as we'll come to learn, it's arguably still going on now. You see, today, locations are no longer being built with Playplaces. Birthday parties are barely a thing, restaurants now look like trendy college campuses, and the Happy Meal toys are...
Yay! We're back at McDonald's for the new Happy Meals, and they are books.
So, what exactly prompted McDonald's to begin removing child-centric experiences from their restaurants? Well, quite coincidentally, this year marks the 20th anniversary of the answer to that question. And it's quite a simple one that consists of just 3 words. I'm loving it. More like bye to your childhood. In 2003, kid-friendly fun at McDonald's would take a turn for the worse with the international launch of the I'm Lovin' It campaign. Now, this wasn't just any ordinary marketing push. The ILI campaign was an attempt by McDonald's to unite the world under one brand message, with a slogan that's still in place today as the longest-running jingle in the company's history. But it was much more than just a catchphrase. The I'm Lovin' It campaign was the spark, the push for modernization that would slowly but surely phase out the child-friendly aspect of their restaurants. It was a complete re-engineering of the company's DNA, a drastically new approach that placed emphasis on people and the customer's own individual preference. Before this, McDonald's would say, "We love to see you smile." Well, the company quickly realized that in the new millennia, customers couldn't care less what McDonald's loved. This was kind of shocking to the company. Turns out customers weren't just an amorphous blob of mouths and money. They were complicated, each with their own individual ideas and opinions. Now, this was really bad news for McDonald's. You see, marketing is a whole lot easier when you can kind of just label all your customers into one box. But when consumers not only recognized their individuality, but also valued it, that made marketing to them a whole lot more complicated. This cultural shift was what prompted McDonald's to begin changing how they advertised and operated their restaurants. And slowly but surely, these changes would place less and less emphasis on children. Now, from an ethical standpoint, this doesn't sound like that bad of a thing. Children's marketing has always been a touchy subject, and there's entire organizations devoted to ensuring that it's done ethically. But from a fun standpoint, McDonald's is now no longer part of that holy trinity of fun childhood outings. And with the decline of Chuck E. Cheese, I've got a whole video on that, don't even get me started, the whole concept of child-centric venues are becoming extinct. Now, some might say, why not take your kid to the zoo or the museum? And to that, I'd say, Mom, stop writing in the comments section. We talked about this, okay? I know the one comment that said I looked handsome was you. You're not slick. Look, I'm not saying the museum isn't a good alternative, but I'm talking about the guilty pleasures here. The places where kids can go nuts and ride freely on the training wheels of gluttony and hedonism. And for kids today, McDonald's isn't really that kind of place anymore. So today, we're going to be looking at exactly how McDonald's slowly but surely removed kids from the equation, for better or for worse. In 1963, McDonald's would first set their sights on the hearts and minds of children with the premiere of the world-famous Ronald McDonald.
Here I am, kids. Hey, isn't watching TV fun? Especially when you got delicious McDonald's hamburgers.
And he was an absolute freak show. I mean, look at this guy. This was bad even for the 60s, and I'm pretty sure McDonald's knew it too because they literally reworked his entire design just a couple years later. But from then on, it was smooth sailing. The character was a hit, and McDonald's quickly cemented Ronald's role as the company's #1 avenue to speak directly to children. And the best way to do that was to act like a friend.
Come on and meet the boys and girls. Oh, we've already met. I know we're going to be friends too, because I like to do everything boys and girls like to do.
You hear that? Ronald likes doing everything kids like to do. What are those things? Who knows? Here's a hamburger. It was bad. I mean, Ronald would literally explain product concepts to children and tell them why they should want them. I'm not kidding. Here's one of Ronald explaining the concept of coupons to a bunch of 8-year-olds.
Say, how'd you like to give a McDonald's hamburger or French fries or Coke to somebody for Christmas? McDonald's 50 cents gift certificates. You buy them at your McDonald's, and they're just like real money.
Of course, in this day and age, this is commonly referred to as manipulative marketing. But in the 60s, they literally hadn't invented that combination of words yet. I mean, could you imagine trying to explain ethical advertising to a bunch of suits in 1965? It'd be like a bomb went off. You'd immediately be fired and forced out the door by the burn of 15 cigarette butts. It just wouldn't happen. Regardless, Ronald would continue his success throughout the 60s, leading the charge in McDonald's aggressive efforts to advertise to a demographic that was naive, easily manipulated, but most importantly, profitable as hell. So, in 1970, the restaurant was naturally incentivized to expand this tactic as a much larger part of their business. Now, how would they do this? More commercials? Maybe a new look for Ronald? Well, how about an entire lore-rich, high-fantasy universe filled with almost a dozen original characters and backstories? In hindsight, it was the most insanely brilliant marketing move McDonald's could have made. All of a sudden, there were books, video games, animated shorts, there were even entire character arcs. Grimace was a bad guy, he became a good guy, it was nuts. I mean, to construct an entire universe solely for the purpose of selling hamburgers, it was literally so crazy that it kind of just worked. And to my knowledge, it hasn't really been done since. Sure, KFC has Colonel Sanders, but he doesn't have an entire universe behind him with a 200-page wiki. So what did they end up calling this incredibly imaginative land of McDonald's? Well, they called it McDonaldland. Missed opportunity, okay? All I'm gonna say. I mean, geez, you could have done McTopia, the Republic of Ronald, McDanistan. I could keep going. But I digress. McDonaldland was a huge success, and for over 20 years, its aesthetic and characters would become a paramount part of the restaurant's experience. Suddenly, McDonaldland playgrounds were built, the characters were sold as Happy Meal toys, and locations would even model entire sections of their restaurants to look like McDonaldland, which gave an atmosphere that almost bordered on psychedelic. It was the 70s, what can you expect? But all things must come to an end. By the late 90s, consumer behavior had changed. As people became increasingly more aware of the negative effects of fast food, attention turned towards the characters that were selling it to their children. This increase in skepticism would eventually hit a catalyst in 2004 with the release of Super Size Me, a film that documented the impacts of fast food on Western society. And with that, Ronald and the gang were practically villainized overnight. Suddenly, Ronald was no longer the hamburger-happy clown. Now he was the poster boy for corporate greed, manipulation, and animal rights violations.
McCruelty, I hate it! McCruelty, I hate it!
This new shift in consumer perception would mean that McDonald's would have to drastically change how they spoke to their customers. And it sure as hell wasn't going to be with a clown. So, slowly but surely, Ronald and the gang would fade into the background. Their imagery was removed from restaurants, the outdoor parks were replaced with the now more familiar indoor jungle gyms, and the McDonaldland commercials now feel like nothing more than a long-forgotten fairy tale. Of course, you can still find your odd artifact here and there. Some old locations still have the Ronald bench, and you might even be lucky enough to find the gang on the backseat of a high chair. but for the most part, the evidence of them ever existing has been completely covered up. It's bittersweet. While ending the aggressive marketing towards children is probably a good thing, it definitely has made the in-store experience a whole lot less magical. And yet, it doesn't seem like McDonald's really cares. Turns out there's a new demographic in town, and they've proven themselves to be just as profitable, if not more. Hear me out. What do kids do when they go to McDonald's? Well, for starters, their parents usually take them. They end up buying a Happy Meal, playing with their toy for 10 minutes, and going home. But teens go viral.
It's chaos at a McDonald's over Szechuan sauce.
McDonald's is serving up a new meal by Travis Scott.
I love Travis Scott. Everyone loves Travis Scott.
We talked about the internet's new TikTok obsession, and it is the Grimace Shake.
We just got the Grimace Shake from McDonald's.
Special happy birthday to my guy Grimace.
Happy birthday, Grimace.
Happy birthday, Grimace.
Happy birthday, Grimace!
If everyone else is gonna do it, then okay.
It's no secret. Over the last 10 years, the most successful McDonald's promotions have been the ones that have managed to go insanely viral. It's also no surprise that these viral promotions have been specifically marketed towards teens and young adults, because unlike children, this demographic has their own money and can drive themselves to get these products. This new tactic has been so successful that McDonald's has even brought back the McDonaldland characters for some recent promotions. And while the tone of these ads is very self-aware and meant to capitalize on nostalgia, it's still a neat thing to see. But even with these changes in marketing tactics, why did McDonald's feel it was necessary to start removing Playplaces, game kiosks, and birthday parties from their restaurants? Couldn't they have just eased off on the advertising without removing the in-store experiences that made the place so fun? Well, unfortunately not, and to be honest, the answers to these questions are going to continue to be kind of a bummer. In the first part of this video, I spoke a little bit about how consumers in the 2000s had become increasingly more aware of the negative health effects of fast food. Well, turns out
We've learned nothing!
Over the past decade, fast food consumption has increased by over 20%, and not only do we want more of it, we want more of it faster. Turns out improved service times are a critically important metric for an industry called fast food, which means that virtually every second of a customer's wait time is crucial. This on-the-move, go-go-go style of consumption has led to a significant drop in dine-in customers. Seriously, these days it's becoming more attractive to take your food out to the parking lot than be caught eating alone at a McDonald's. So, in response to this, the company and its competitors have begun to drastically streamline services. This means the cashiers are robots, the indoor seating is not, and the drive-thrus look like 3-lane highways. Okay, maybe not yet, but it's coming. Check out these drive-thru concepts for KFC, Chick-fil-A, and Burger King. They look like freaking airport terminals. Oh, and how about this one from Taco Bell that's literally already open and operational? This concept location in Minnesota is a drive-thru only Taco Bell where you have zero interaction with a single human being at any point. Oh, and in case you were wondering, these places are already experimenting with AI. Because if you're not sitting bumper to bumper in a 3-lane drive-thru arguing with ChatGPT for extra ketchup, are you really a man of the 20s? Now, of course, McDonald's, being one of the early pioneers of the drive-thru, is already way ahead of the curve when it comes to all of this. And while it may not be a reality now, it's very possible that in the next 20 years, dine-in fast food locations will be in the minority compared to their more efficient drive-thru counterparts. Which means that McDonald's has virtually no incentive to foster an entertaining dine-in experience, especially not for children. Over the past decade, McDonald's has made a very deliberate move to modernize the look of their locations. This has been done in an attempt to nurture a more mature and upscale sense of dining. But building this modernized new atmosphere is kind of hard to do when you have a 20-foot psychedelic treehouse exploding out the roof of your establishment. To remedy this, McDonald's has basically pulled the plug on Playplaces. You may have noticed already, but new locations are simply not being built with them, and some of the older restaurants are choosing to remove their existing ones altogether. If this image of a company business meeting being held in an old McDonald's playroom doesn't perfectly illustrate the death of fun, then I don't know what does. But this push to remove Playplaces from McDonald's wasn't just done for the sake of the company's image. Turns out running a 20-foot jungle gym for sugar-high 6-year-olds is kind of a liability issue, and this has always been a problem for McDonald's. In 1999, the company was fined $4 million for failing to report over 400 injuries sustained on the Big Mac climber. And the safety concerns don't stop with injuries. Unfortunately, when you combine food with jungle gyms, you can end up developing a thriving ecosystem for some pretty nasty pathogens. I mean, all Little Junior has to do is drop a chicken nugget in a plastic crevice, and 6 months later, the entire place becomes one giant petri dish. This problem of filthy Playplaces has always been kind of an open secret, especially to moms, and this led one Arizona woman to take matters into her own hands. Meet Erin Jordan, a mother of 4 and a professor at Arizona State who experienced the horrors of the McDonald's Playplace firsthand. The news story states that, upon bringing her children to McDonald's, Erin would follow her son into one of the slides, where she found, quote, rotting food in every crevice, a used Band-Aid, and gang signs. God, I wrote this script like a week ago, but I'm still laughing at the idea of a 6-year-old scribbling Crips for Life onto a slide with crayon. Erin told FoodSafetyNews.com, which of course is a publication for some reason, that it was every little thing you wouldn't want your child near, and she knew she had to take action. So Erin did what any noble middle-aged mother of 4 would do. She complained to management, and she was kind of blown off. In response, Erin took it upon herself to perform a cross-country journey, visiting McDonald's Playplaces all around America, swabbing them for bacteria, and sending the samples back to a lab at ASU. After receiving the results from her samples, Erin discovered a multitude of different pathogens, all with names that no one should ever bother trying to pronounce. Erin would take her findings to local management, then corporate, and eventually the federal level, where she would quickly discover that there aren't really many laws in place to ensure these areas are kept clean. Sadly, Erin would end her personal investigation without much being changed, and while her findings may have been alarming and McDonald's could have probably done more to keep their places clean, I'm sure she'd be relieved to know that today, the majority of McDonald's Playplaces have now closed down for good. From the looks of it, the liability issues combined with the push for modernization have incentivized most franchisees to just do away with the whole thing. And what was once a hallmark of the childhood McDonald's experience is now facing extinction. Which means soon, birthdays will as well. Prior to the 2000s, McDonald's birthday parties were a core part of the restaurant's business. Sure, today McDonald's doesn't seem like the most luxurious place to host a child's birthday, but for a long time, the restaurant provided an entire birthday package with a cake, party hats, and activities, all for an unbeatably affordable price, and they advertised this service on TV for well over 30 years. But today, this aspect of their business has pitifully diminished into a literal 2 lines of text on their website. This right here is the only information you can find on McDonald's official website regarding in-store birthdays. And even if this somehow manages to sell you on the idea, it's not actually guaranteed you'll have a location near you that hosts them. Back in the day, the slew of birthday commercials gave the impression that parties were a mandatory service provided by all locations. But today, it seems like it's kind of up to the franchisee. Which is kind of a shame, because in countries like the Philippines, birthday parties are still going strong and it is utterly lit. I mean, there's a party room, they bring out the old mascots, they dance to frickin' Gangnam Style, it's a whole thing. But in the West, it barely feels like it's a part of the business anymore. So I wanted to actually test this. According to Google, there are 19 McDonald's locations in my city. Insane, I know. And I wanted to see just how many still provided an entire birthday package. Now I know what you're thinking. Am I really going to bother 19 restaurants with an annoying inquiry that I have absolutely zero intention of following through on? Well, I'm a bit of a rascal.
How can I help you?
Hey, I'm calling today to see if you guys do birthday parties.
We unfortunately don't.
No worries, bye now. First one, no dice.
Hi, McDonald's.
Hey, how you doing? I want to throw a birthday party for my son Newton.
Unfortunately, we don't do birthday parties anymore.
Do you know when that stopped?
I know, I've been with the company for 13 years and it stopped shortly after I started. Hello, McDonald's.
Hey, how you doing? My sons Wolfgang and Renato are having a birthday soon. Do you guys do birthday parties?
No, we don't. I'm sorry.
Hello, McDonald's.
Do you guys still do birthday parties?
Unfortunately, we do not.
McDonald's.
Hey, I'm just calling today because I was wondering if you guys do birthday parties.
Birthday parties?
Okay, I'm not calling anymore. I've called like 6 or 7 and it's just no's across the board. So I think it's pretty obvious it's not gonna get any more hopeful. Okay, that wraps it up. Out of luck. But there's another option, and it's incredibly embarrassing. Instead of opting for a real-life birthday experience, the McDonald's website recommends another option, a virtual McDonald's birthday party. That's right, why not stay in, order McDonald's to all your friends' houses, and party over Zoom? Look, I don't care if this is a leftover webpage from the pandemic, I am still absolutely going to make fun of this. If you visit the landing page for McDonald's online birthday parties, you are greeted with a wealth of downloadable resources, including e-cards, printable PDF party hats, and even virtual backgrounds to bring the fun of McDonald's right into your Zoom call. No, but really, look at these backgrounds for a second. It looks like someone spent a total of 12 minutes on all of them. And since the old mascots have been banished, they can't even use them to make the designs more exciting. All they have is this freak. The most depressing one is the ball pit background. I mean, what a kick in the teeth. McDonald's hasn't had a ball pit for like 25 years, but then they have the audacity to turn it into a Zoom call background like that's gonna bring back the magic. For God's sake, I made a better one with Photoshop in like 10 minutes. Look, I get that McDonald's was just trying to provide alternatives during a time when people couldn't physically come to their restaurants. But seriously, who in their right mind is ridiculous enough, no, dumb enough to do this today? Okay, and I think we're all here. Great! Welcome everybody to the first annual virtual McDonald's birthday party. I'm sure you guys have all printed out your party hats at this point, so if you want to go ahead and put those on, you can put them on anytime. Andrew, buddy, I can tell you're definitely playing Overwatch right now. You want to take a break? Hello? Okay, whatever. If you guys check your emails, you can find the itinerary for today's festivities. We're going to be starting with a screen share of the wacky adventures of Ronald McDonald, and then we'll get right into the food. Francis, I can see you're eating your fries already. Can you wait like 5 minutes? Thanks.
It's getting even cooler, step into a new beat. Got it tingling inside me and it's spreading to my feet.
Why does this have 70 million views?
Oh, no talking during the stream, please, or I'll be forced to mute participants. Thank you. Okay, that was fun. And it's looking like we're right on schedule for burger time.
Yeah, mine's completely cold.
Alrighty, dig in, guys. And after that, you guys can watch me have some cake. All right, check this out. I got myself a little Ronald McDonald cake. Tried to do his face. Let me see if I can. Oh, In the United States, during peak business hours, McDonald's sells over 5,000 Happy Meals a minute, incidentally making the restaurant one of the largest toy distributors in the world. This gimmick of packing toys in kids' meals has been a long-standing tradition at McDonald's since the first Happy Meal was sold in 1979, and it's managed to persist across multiple generations. As a 2000s kid, I fondly look back on the Sonic handheld games, the stackable knack-knack toys, and the McTorin Bionicle figures. Or if you're a little older, maybe you remember the McDonald's adult Happy Meal from 2004 that included a salad, a bottle of water, and a pedometer to help count your steps. Because your childhood is dead, and it should feel like it. But today, after over 40 years of uninterrupted fun, Happy Meals are starting to take a turn for the worse. I don't know about you, but if you've been to a McDonald's in the last couple years, you might have noticed that those little toys behind the glass aren't really that exciting anymore. Some of the recent releases have included cheap stuffed plushies, cardboard cutouts, books, mini Hasbro board games. Okay, this one doesn't prove my point, it's actually pretty cool. But you get the idea. It seems like slowly but surely, Happy Meal toys are being diluted with significantly lamer products made with cheaper materials. But there's a reason for this. In 2021, McDonald's pledged to drastically decrease their use of plastic in all their Happy Meals by 2025. And this is being accomplished by manufacturing their new toys with more sustainable materials. So now I guess the natural response is to feel bad about making fun of those crappy toys a minute ago. Well, not necessarily. While this pledge is a nice gesture, it could also be an easy way to sell cheaper toys under the pretext of helping the environment. And since these toys would cost less to manufacture, this would ultimately improve their profit margins when selling Happy Meals. In a way, it's kind of a win-win for the Ds. Not only do they get to make more money, they also get to collect brownie points for being environmentally conscious. But if that is the case, maybe they could use this momentum to address some of their other pressing issues? Either way, however you might feel about the change, it's no debate that the excitement of Happy Meals has and will continue to take a dive. And with these toys acting as the last bastion of childhood fun at McDonald's, so too will the entire childhood experience as a whole. Look, I'm not saying McDonald's decision to focus less on kid-friendly experiences is a good thing or a bad thing. In reality, you could make a pretty solid argument for both. Sure, it's probably good that the company decided to market less aggressively towards children, but at the same time, the Playplaces were cool. I don't care if they found literal feces in the ball pit. Bring it back. But I'd venture to say there's a bigger concern. With McDonald's changing their marketing strategies and venues like Chuck E. Cheese literally going bankrupt after
The Big Sick,
are kid-friendly venues like this even going to exist in the next 10 years? Has culture changed to the point that these locations are no longer even seen as an attractive outing? And if so, can these venues modernize in order to stay relevant into the future? Well, I think they can. And after an alarmingly little amount of consideration, I've decided to do it myself. Welcome to the Slow Start, Pizza, and Arcade. That's right, my entrepreneurial bone has suffered 6 severe fractures from 6 separate failed business ventures. But after receiving an exorbitant amount of money from an anonymous online angel investor, I'm ready to give it another go. Move over, guys! I'm coming for the spot. This is the demented dopamine circus the children's entertainment industry has been waiting for. Why not hop in one of our VR booths and watch Goo videos while a 22-year-old whispers ASMR triggers into your ear? What even is a Goo video? We kidnap Blippi and are forcing him to perform his greatest hits for goldfish crackers and fruit snacks. Hey, get back in there! Get back in the cage! What's on the menu? We're typing hashtag foodie into TikTok and serving the first thing that comes up. Creativity. Our mascot just is Freddy Fazbear. Listen, I can't afford to lease this place much longer, so get your ass down here! The skee-ball machine dispenses frickin' V-Bucks! I'm in debt now!
Thanks for watching. And a big thanks to our Patreon producers.
Sam, Kyle, 11,